Hello students, today we are going to study how to convert an infix expression to postfix expression using stacks. So first we are going to learn an algorithm, okay, and before we learn the algorithm I am going to show you a flowchart of the algorithm so that you understand the steps of the algorithm. Suppose this is your input a plus b minus c. The first step, we start by scanning our input from left to right. So our first input element is a. So I start scanning a. So after the step 1, I scan my first input element. I perform one of the steps. Either I perform step 2, step 3, step 4 or step 5 depending on my input that I have just read. So my input suppose is an operand, then I perform step 2. If the input is an opening parenthesis is like this, opening bracket. Then I do step 3. If my input is an operator, any of the arithmetic operators, plus, minus, division, multiply and so on, then I perform step 4. And if the input is a closing bracket, then I do step 5. Okay, so just to revise what I just said, after I scan my input, this is my step 1, I identify what is my input. It could be a operand, then I do step 2, it's a opening parenthesis, then I do step 3, it's an operator, I do step 4, if it's a closing parenthesis, then I do step 5. I perform any one of these steps, okay, only one of these steps I perform. After I perform one of the steps, I go to step 6. So suppose in this case A is an operand. So I apply the algorithm step to it. We will see it shortly what is the step to be applied, and then I go to step 6. So in step 6 we check if there is more input. So yeah, obviously there is more input here. So then I go back to step 1. So again I scan my next input from left to right. So after A, what is the next input that I have? The next input that I have is plus, your plus sign. So then again I perform one of the steps. So plus is your step 4, it's an operator. So I apply the algorithmic step for the plus sign, your operator, and then I go to step 6. So I again check if there is more input. Yes, there is more input. B minus C is left. Okay. So I go back to step 1. I scan my next input. So now I scan B. After I scan my B, I perform one of these 4 steps. Okay. So B, I identify B is what? B is an operand. So I apply step 2. After applying, I go back to step 6. I check whether there is more input. Yes, more input is left. Minus sign and C is left. So I go back to step 1. So in step 1 again I identify if there is the next input. I scan the next input. My next input is minus. So after step 1 I perform one of these 4 steps. I could do step 2, 3, 4 or 5. Since minus is an operator, I perform step 4. After I apply the step, I go back to step 6. Okay. I check if more input is left. Yes, more input is left. What is left? C is left. Okay. So I go back to step 1. I scan my next input. So my next input is now C. I identify what type of input it is. Is it an operand? Is it an opening parenthesis? Is it an operator or closing parenthesis? I perform only one of these 4 steps. So C is an operand. I apply step 2 and I go to step 6. Now I check if there is more input. No, I have reached the end of the input. Here is the end of the input. So I do not go here. There is no more input. So I come here and I apply step 7. Okay. I hope you got the flow of the algorithm. Please remember this flowchart. You can come back to this flowchart. Note it down if you need it. So now let's look at the actual algorithm. Okay, let's look at all these 7 steps in detail. So this is your algorithm for converting an infix expression to postfix expression using stacks. Okay. So these are the same steps that we had seen in the flowchart. So let's take one example and quickly see what is to be done here. Suppose this is your input. Okay, suppose this is your input. A plus B minus C. So A plus B has been placed inside parenthesis. Okay, it is single parenthesis. So you start with the step 1. Okay. So you scan the leftmost input. So you scan your leftmost input. So you scan the opening parenthesis. So as I told you in the flowchart, after step 1 you can perform one of the steps. Step 2, 3, 4 or 5. Step 2 deals with an operand. Step 3 deals with an opening parenthesis. Step 4 deals with an operator. And step 5 deals with a closing parenthesis. Okay. So you can perform any one of these after step 1. So any one, I mean step 2, 3, 4 or 5. Any one of these 4 steps. Okay. So you have to identify. So what is your this input? This input is an opening parenthesis. So which step it is? 3rd step. So what does it say? It says push this opening parenthesis on the stack. So suppose you are having a stack like this. You you will push the opening parenthesis on the stack. So your top of the stack will be pointing here. Okay. Remember here we are implementing a stack using an array. So suppose these are your array indexes, and there will be your stack like this. Okay. Just follow this. If it's an opening parenthesis, push it on the stack. After pushing it on the stack, what you have to do? Go to step 6. What does your step 6 say? If there is more input, go to step 1. So as you can see, there is more input. So we go to step 1 here. So in step 1, we again examine our next input. So what is the next input? Next input is A. So A is an operand. Which is the step for operand? Step 2. Okay. Since A is an operand, you have to perform step 2. So what does it say? Output it. So you will have an output array. Suppose this is an output array. So you will output it. You will store A in the index 0 of that output array. Okay. Then after performing that step, you will go to step 6 here. Step 6 says if there is more input, go to step 1. So step 1, by now I think you know what does it do? You will scan the next input. When you scan your next input, what you get? You get the plus. So you have to identify plus is what type? It's an operator. So from these steps, which is the step dealing with an operator? The step dealing with an operator is step 4. Step 4. It deals with an operator. Okay. So read this now. Step 4 has 4 substeps. Step 4 has 4 substeps. So we have to identify which of the substeps we have to apply. So our input is plus. So read the first one. It says if stack is empty, okay, you check here, stack is not empty. So we cannot apply this. Go to the second one. It says if top of the stack is opening parenthesis. This is your top of the stack. Is it an opening parenthesis? Yes, it's an opening parenthesis. So what we will do? Push the operator on the stack. So what is the operator? Operator is plus. You will push it on the stack. Once you push an operator on the stack, your top of the stack now will be this. Okay. After you push the operator on the stack, you will go to step 6. So in step 6, you check if there is more input, go to step 1. So you will go to step 1 here and you will scan the next input. So when you scan the next input, you get the next input as B. So identify now which of these 4 steps you will do. Which is the step we will perform for an operand? Yes, it is step 2. Which is an operand, what you will do? Output it. So you will put B in the output. Okay, and then you will go to step 6. So step 6, if there is more input, is there more input? Yes. Go to step 1. We'll go to step 1 here. You will examine the next element in the input. Which is the next element in the input? Next element in the input is closing parenthesis. Okay. So after step 1, you can perform any one of these 4 steps, step 2, 3, 4 or 5. So identify what is this? It's a closing parenthesis. So which is the step for closing parenthesis? It is step 5. Okay. So you will apply step 5. So what does it say? Pop operators from the stack and output them. Okay. How long will you pop the operators? Until an opening parenthesis is encountered. So you will keep popping the operators from the stack and put them in the output until you get an opening parenthesis. What does it mean? First we'll do this. Pop the operator from stack. When I pop the operator, which is the topmost element, plus. So you pop it. So when you pop it, your top of the stack is now here. So after you pop the operator from the stack, what you are supposed to do? Put them in the output. Pop it, put it in the output. So next, what you have to do? Keep on popping until you get an opening parenthesis. Check your next element in the stack now. Is it an operator? If it is an operator, you would pop it and add it to the output. But this is not an operator. It's an opening parenthesis. So till here you have to pop. So we found an opening parenthesis. So we do not pop again. Okay. So what to do with the opening parenthesis? Pop the opening parenthesis and discard it. Pop and discard the opening parenthesis. So when you pop this, now your stack is empty. Okay. Do not add the opening parenthesis to the output. You discard it. Okay. So now this is your current status of your stack. So you are having stack as empty and your current output is reading as AB plus. Okay. After that, you will go to step 6. So in step 6 you check, is there more input? Yes. You go to step 1. So when you go to step 1, you will scan the next input. Which is the next input element? Next input element is minus. Okay. So again you can perform one of these 4 steps. Which is the step for the operator? The step for the operator is step 4. Okay. So identify what to do with it now. So check step 4, 1. If stack is empty, is the stack empty? Yes, stack is empty. You can see here, stack is empty. So what you do? Push operator on the stack. So which is the operator? The operator is this, minus. So you push the operator on the stack. Push the operator and set the top of the stack is now, the minus or the subtract sign. Okay. After you push it, go to step 6. So in step 6, is there more input? Yes. So you will go to step 1. So step 1, scan the next input. So which is the next input element? Next input element is C. So which is the step for operand? The step for operand is step 2. Here, what you will do with that? Output it. So you will put C in the output and you will go to step 6. Now when you come to step 6, is there more input? Is there more input here? No, it's over. The input is over. So if there is no more input, you will not go to step 1 now. You will go to step 7. So you will go to step 7 at the end of input. Remember? After the input is ended, you will go from step 6 to step 7. only when the input has ended. What does the step 7 say? Step 7 says, if there is no more input, pop the remaining operators to the output. So you have to pop them one by one. So in this case right now we are having only one operator on the stack. So we will pop it, pop this operator, our stack becomes empty. So once you pop the operator, what will you do? You will add it to the output. So pop the operator and add it to the output. So this is how your algorithm works. This is your now postfix expression. Okay, this was your infix expression which you have converted to postfix. Got it? How the algorithm works. Okay, so learn this algorithm properly, note it down, understand it properly before you solve the more examples in the video. Okay, so once you have understood this algorithm, then you go ahead and read the other examples.